Hello, my name is John, and today we're in the cockpit of the AJS-37 Viggen again. And in this video, I wanted to take a look at the RB-15F standoff anti-ship weapon. Now, the RB-15F is probably the most advanced weapon of the Viggen, and I'm even going so far and say that it is probably the most advanced weapon we have in DCS as of now. Because it has quite a lot of features, especially if we compare it to its older brother, the RB-04. Now, the RB-15F, it's one of the first weapons that is really programmable. Like, you can set a couple of waypoints, and you can set a couple of parameters, including how the missile should search for its targets and all that stuff. And yeah, I guess we are getting right into it. Without further ado, let's have a look. Now, the first thing that we have to understand with the RB-15F is the waypoints. Because the RB-15F needs 4 waypoints in the Viggen to be set. And those waypoints are called BX waypoints. And the ones relevant for the RB-15F are the BX 6, 7, 8 and 9 waypoint. So let's go through them first. The BX 6 waypoint is the descent waypoint. And at that point the RB-15 will descend from the release altitude to the lower altitude. And the lower altitude is either determined if it's over ground or over water. If it's over ground, the minimum altitude will be 60 meters, and if it's over water, the altitude is anywhere between sea skimming and 30 meters. There are a couple of parameters you can change. Now, the descent point is not a navigation point. The missile will not fly there. The only thing that the descent point is doing is it gives the missile a distance to the BX7 waypoint, and once the missile is at that distance to the BX7 waypoint, it will perform the descent. Now, the BX7 waypoint is the course change point, and that is our first waypoint where the missile can actually do a maneuver, or like change its course, as the name suggests. And that is the second to last waypoint before it hits or goes into the target area. And that one we can set up, for example, if we want to do, or if we want the missile to do like a curve or something like that. Maybe trying to launch it behind a valley or something and have it fly out there and then turn towards the target. Now, the next waypoint is the BX8 waypoint, and that's the assumed target position. And the BX8 waypoint is our actual target for the missile, and it's the point where the missile will start looking for a target and starting to kill or trying to kill the target right there. And the assumed target position, or ATP, is the most important waypoint, as all the targeting is relying on that waypoint to be set properly. And the last waypoint is the BX9 waypoint. That's a waypoint you normally don't have to worry about too much, because it's the self-destruction waypoint. If the missile hadn't hit the target for some reason and it kept flying, then at the self-destruct waypoint it would destroy itself. Now, on the open sea, I think it doesn't really matter where you have that. However, it could be useful if you're approaching, for example, a fleet in a harbor, and you're approaching from the sea, and you're trying to not get the missile to hit the town behind the harbor if it's not hitting a target. And setting up these waypoints has created a lot of confusion in the forums, because there are many ways you can do that. You can enter them in the mission editor, which we might have a look at another video. Or you can enter them by entering raw coordinates into the computer or anything like that, but that's all quite advanced stuff. And there is an easier method, and that's the method we're going to take a look at now. Because, I mean, nice to have coordinates being entered and all that stuff, but I guess most of you guys want just to fire the missile at the target without any hassle, or at least as little hassle as possible. So we're going to assign those waypoints during the flight using the radar. Now, a couple of technical things about the RB-15. It has a maximum range of about 70 kilometers. The warhead, like in the RB-04E, is about 200 kilograms heavy. It's high explosive. And the release altitude is between 50 and 2000 meters, so you can release it from higher up. And the release altitude will be kept by the missile until it reaches the descent point. So you can, for example, launch it over some hilly terrain, and it will not go down to the ground and get killed by mountains or something like that, but no, it will keep the altitude until it reaches the descent point. And that's also the reason why those points are, while good to have them, or well, it's good that you're able to set them. They are not that important in a normal configuration, but there are special cases where you want them to be set. So yeah, that's something for another video, definitely. Anyway, similar to the BK90, the RB15 can be programmed by entering codes into the navigation computer down here as well. However, there are many more codes. I think it's about 25 to 30 parameters you can enter, including wind data and wind speeds and sea skimming altitudes and all that stuff. And that is very advanced. There's a couple of pages in that about that in the manual. And there are, however, code shortcuts. Shortcuts for a couple of things you can do. Most important, attack configurations. And I think for a Viggen pilot and DCS, those will be the most important. So we're going to have a look at those. Now, if we go into the navigation computer, the first thing we want to do, as usual, we want to set our target waypoint. That is, however, not on target this day. That target waypoint is at the point where we want to release the weapon. And as you can see in the map, that's where it is. So we will set the B2 waypoint to an M2 waypoint. Now, the addresses for the codes for the RB15 are all starting with 8, and it has all the codes between 80 and 88 are just for the missile. Now in this case, the short codes, however, all start with 80, and 80 they open the basic configuration. And now there are 5 codes you can set. The first code, 80 and then all zeros, is the standard target or the standard mode, and it's a single target in a large search area. So that means that the missile will fly to the assumed target position, or ATP, and there it will have a large area where the radar is searching for the target. The target closest to the ATP will be selected as target, and then that one will be engaged. This is good, for example, if you have only one ship that's in the area. And you can also get into that mode by just entering or moving that switch down here to standard and not to the values position. If you have that on standard, it will do exactly that. It will engage the target in a large area closest to the ATP. Now, the next mode is 80, 3 zeros and then a 1. And that's a confined search. The search area is medium size, and it selects the multiple N mode. And the multiple N mode is a mode where the missile within the search area searches for all the targets, and then it will randomly select one of the 3 closest targets to the ATP. So if it finds 10 targets, it will select the ones closest to the ATP, and out of those 3 it will select one randomly. So for example, if you have your ATP on a carrier group and it's quite precisely on the carrier, but there are a couple boats nearby, if you have that mode, there's about a 1 in 3 chance per missile to hit the carrier and not the other boats. Similarly to that, the 80-0002 mode is again a medium search area. This time it's not as confined though, and it uses the multiple A mode though. And in the multiple A mode, it will search or randomly select all the targets in the search area. So any target it finds will be randomly selected for being the active target. This is, for example, if you have a large group or a very large group of boats that can be further apart or closer together, and you want just to hit one of those boats without any specifications on what boat you want to kill. The 0003 mode is the convoy mode, and in that mode it will search for convoys close to the ATP, and it will find the largest group close to the ATP in a large search area, and it will engage that one. Now that mode is very useful if you have, for example, a carrier group again, and there are a couple boats close to the carrier protecting the carrier, and further away are single ships that are supply vessels or whatever. And in that mode, the missile will only go for groups and then randomly select a target within the group. Single ships will be ignored, and the group closest to the ATP will be considered for the random target selection. And the last mode, the 0004 mode, is the bearing search mode, and it will just if you launch it, it will just try to find a target close to the bearing. And that mode is useful if you know the direction the target is in. However, you don't know the distance to the target for whatever reason. And then the missile will just be launched and it will scan ahead. I think it scan up to 24 kilometers ahead of itself, and it will just engage the first target it sees. However, the default mode, if you don't put the switch down to standard but just keep it where it is and you don't enter anything in the values, here it will be on the 002 mode, so the multi-target in a medium search group, medium search area. And that mode is probably the most practical mode anyway, so we are going to use that as well. And we will just manually enter it, although it already has been selected. Sorry, let me get track here going again. There we go. 800002. And now we confirm those changes by hitting the switch down here. And that's all we need to do here. We can go back to the active position and output mode. So we're getting flying. Now configuring the missile. Again, we want to bring this switch into the attack position. As for any air-to-ground weapons, usually. Then we want to be in the series mode because we want to fire both missiles at the same time. In the impulse mode, we could only send one. And we want to be in the values because then it will consider what we have currently entered. If we go down to standard, again, as said, it will engage a single target in a large search area, the target closest to the ATP. Now the next thing, once we get closer, we want to go into the attack mode, the master mode selector here, and we want to turn the weapon safety off. However, let me unpause first, so we actually make some progress towards the target area. Okay, that looks good. And let's turn on the radar, so we can actually see where we're going. Now the first waypoint, the B1 waypoint, I have set up just here on the coastline. It's the small island again for an F update if that would be necessary. I don't think currently this though, but we can actually do one just to make sure. Oh, that one. We had the wrong waypoint selected. Well, that was bad. Okay. Let's ignore that. Actually, no. I can't select the waypoint 1. Oh yeah, we can. Let's get the mouse cursor up here. And let's select that one here. Okay. That was offset a bit, sorry. There we go. Okay, now we have updated our navigation system. We have 0 drift, as indicated down there. And we can, actually the waypoint, we will pass it any second. We will actually go to our target waypoint now. Or pick that up at least. So, okay, target waypoint M2. Now we will turn towards that. So we're flying the right direction. Got myself confused there for a second. It did the wrong waypoint for some reason. But not to worry. All good now. Okay. Now the M2 waypoint in this mission is the point at which we are about to come in range for the RB-15 release. And in this mission I haven't set the waypoint on the target group, but instead I will. This is the point where we head to, and at this point, or approximately at that point, we want to release the RB-15. And now this gives us plenty of time until we reach there to set up the BX waypoints we have talked about earlier. Now let me increase the radar range and let's see if we can already see the target on the radar. Now here, let me make it a bit darker so you can actually see something better. Now here we have the waypoint ring, which is the M2 waypoint, and we will be setting up the BX waypoints any second now. As said, you can set them either by entering coordinates here, or by using the mission editor, or by going ahead and entering them by using the radar, like we did with all the other waypoints so far. Now we're just waiting for the target group. I hope it's coming up on the radar in front of us. At least that's what Intel told us. And should be coming into range any second now. I mean, the 120 kilometers are quite sufficient, and I don't think the target is further out than that, or shouldn't be at least. Okay, there is the target coming up, as you can see already, the small speck up there. Currently it's hard to tell what exactly the target is, except a couple of black dots, but it's a couple of ships that we want to engage today. Now, going on setting the BX waypoint. First of all, we want to select a BX waypoint, and doing that is pressing the BX button down here, and then selecting the number on the numpad up here. So for setting the ATP, which is the BX waypoint, just hit the BX button and then the 8. And now up here you can see the red BX8 indicated, showing you that this waypoint has been set. And now we cannot see any waypoint because I didn't set the waypoint, the BX waypoint yet. But we can just do that by using our T0 and TV trigger on the radar stick, and by pulling back the trigger to the first stand, we can set the BX waypoint just ahead of us. And just in the center of the radar screen there. And now we can just use the normal controls to slew the BX waypoint over our target, like you would do in with any other waypoint. And now we have set up the BX waypoint to our target. That was quite easy, wasn't it? And now usually it should also automatically set all the other waypoints. So BX6, BX7, BX8 and ATP will all be set automatically. If we go into the attack mode, we are going to see this cross down here, and this cross down here is our BX7 waypoint, which it automatically set. I'm not sure why it sets it there, but that's how the simulator does it for some reason. Or the aircraft does it. Now, the position down here is a bit, I don't know, it's not perfect. I wouldn't say it's perfect. We can try to set the BX8 once more. Let me set it here. Now, if we are in the attack mode, the ring will move at the same time, which is also good. Okay, the BX7 is for some reason down here. That's not perfect. So let's fix that as well. Let's go into the BX and then the 7. And let's move that a bit further up. We can just do that by moving it where we want it to be. We will move it somewhere around here, I guess. It's good enough. It's close to the target, or at least somewhat close to the target. And we can move it a bit further away. If we place it here, perfect. Now we want to make sure we are selecting the BX8 waypoint again, just to have that set, and we don't launch the missile at the wrong target. Now, let me turn a bit. Let me disable the autopilot first. We are at 500 meters above sea level approximately. That's good enough for this launch here. Then, and if we enable the master safety or disable the safety, we can already see the range lines down here. And those two bars are the maximum range, and the horizontal bar is the current range to target. And if that current range to target is within those two horizontal bars, vertical bars, we are within range, which we are right now. So we can hold down the trigger and have them go. And this is all we need to do. We can actually turn off the radar again, and we can disable the master mode navigation, or go back to navigation, sorry, not readiness, but navigation, and select our next waypoint. If I have set any, I don't know. Yeah, B3 is set, perfect. And we can just turn away, and the missiles don't need any further aircraft input. They will fly to the BX7 cruise change point. On the way there, they will descend at the descent point. And once they have reached that cruise change point, they will turn towards the BX8 assumed target position point, and then they will begin their search within the target area. And hopefully we are getting the missiles to hit. Let's switch over to them and have a look what they are doing. And yeah, that's the basic deployment of the RB-15F. And if we spectate the missiles now, just let me level out the aircraft first. If we spectate the missiles now, we can see they're heading towards the target, hopefully. Else I would have done something horribly wrong. Now this is the first missile. Somewhere must be the second missile. Yeah, it's over here. Not sure if they already did their turn at this point. I kind of missed that probably. But we hope so at least. And yeah, the missiles take a couple of seconds because they can cover up to 70 kilometers as said before. That's quite a good range for those missiles, I would believe. And yeah, takes a moment to get there. I mean, and if you have counter systems to shoot down those missiles, you want to launch more than a pair of two, because they probably will get shot down. However, on a group of freighter ships, that's no problem here. The Viggen can carry a maximum of up to 2 of those missiles, so always keep that in mind. That for more missiles you just need more Viggens. But I guess those could be great fun in multiplayer too, and if you all have set them up in a multi-mode, like the multi-A mode where you are going to search for multiple targets in the search area, you can take out multiple ships at once. I think that was also a problem in one of the streams they did, that this wasn't working back then, but it seems to be working right now from the tests I did. And you can currently see that, but the target is coming up front. Or maybe you can see that, depends on your screen resolution, I guess, and how the rendering turns out. And we should impact the targets hopefully any second now. Looks like we're on a good path to the ships, and the missiles are just flying along nicely. And hopefully taking out at least 1 or 2 ships here. And yeah, I mean the RB-15, it's a bit more not much more complicated than the RB-04 actually. If you're not bothering with any inputs of coordinates and stuff and just do it on the fly, like I did right now, perfectly fine. And it works about as quickly as the RB-04, with the added benefit of the bigger range and the faster missile. And they are flying at about 0.9 Mach here, so that's quite a lot faster actually. And they're even quite hard to follow. You need to get into Afterburner to keep up with them if you want to follow them without the trail, because they have a jet engine. They're actually quite hard to spot from there. Okay, looks like both missiles are turning now. That was a bit of a weird turn they did, but are they going for the same target? Yes, they are. Okay, yeah, I guess we had some bad luck there. Had both missiles engage the same target. But that is something that can happen when firing missiles in a random target search mode, I guess. And yeah, I guess that was a good kill for the ship there. That ship is definitely dead. And yeah, I hope you liked this video and could learn something. The RB-15 deployment is not too difficult. And we can also take a look at how to enter the BX waypoints in the mission editor if you really want so. And we can also try to enter them in the coordinates or with the coordinates at one point. Though, for me personally, this is the most convenient method. I am in the aircraft. I will set up the BX8 waypoint onto the target. If necessary, I will move the BX7 waypoint so that's in front of us and everything is good. But yeah, you can do that whatever you like, and if you want me to, I can check out the other ways as well. So yes, thank you very much for watching and have a great day and fly safe.